Welcome to part 3. Now, we know that Uhuru Park has been sealed off. Okay? We also know that it's widely being said, widely being discussed, that the principals of NASA are going to be under house arrest, shortly before the swearing in. Maybe even a day before the swearing in. Now, the direct question we have to ask is this enough to stop the swearing in of Raila Odinga? Now, before we answer that question, we need to ask and answer another very important question. Why is the Jubilee government so worried about Raila Odinga swearing himself in? I mean, it should be meaningless. On paper, it should be meaningless. Yes, because we already have a president in place. Okay. Yes, his legitimacy is in big question. Okay, but let's not discuss that for now. But the issue here is that actually the swearing in of Raila Odinga should be of no consequence. So why has it kicked up such a storm within Jubilee? Why has it kicked up such a storm within the international community? The answer is simple. It is because Raila Odinga is just not any other person to be sworn in. The truth is, if it was Kalonzo Musyoka being sworn in, or even Mudavadi, or Weta, it would have been a non-issue. Everybody would have just laughed about it, laughed it off. But Raila Odinga is a different cup of tea. Raila Odinga has a dangerously huge following right across the country. And so the big fear is that this swearing-in ceremony could trigger off something larger, like a revolution, like a Kenyan spring, Jubilee political analyst Mutai Ngunyi calls it a coup. Actually, what Bwana Ngunyi is saying is that Raila swearing in will be a coup, that will designed to overthrow the Jubilee government. Now, this is very interesting, even hilarious. Why do I say that? Because a lot of these people, if you ask them, will tell you that, NASA's got no following, NASA is of no consequence, Raila Odinga is nothing in Kenyan politics, is not important. Even the Meru governor is saying, Bwana Kiraitu is saying, let them swear in Raila Odinga, we see where he'll go. That's what they're saying. But this is hilarious because the very same people in the same sentence, are confessing that actually Kenya is that floor which has petrol poured all over it. And what they're saying is that Raila swearing in will be a spark, and a spark is dangerous where petrol is, because if that petrol catches fire, the whole place catches fire. So what they're actually saying, not in so many words, but what actually they're saying, the government, AG Githu Muigai, and all the rest, what they're all saying is that the situation in Kenya is ripe for revolution. And right now, we do not need anybody going around with matches. We don't need anybody going around causing sparks, because that could light up a fire in the entire country that will be difficult to put off, difficult to extinguish. Of course, these people are very determined not to discuss why there's petrol on the floor. These people are very determined not to discuss why Kenya is in the situation it is in today. Why is the donkey tired? Kwa nini punda imechoka? They're not willing to discuss those issues. They're telling the punda, accept and move on. That's what they're telling the donkey. Now, one other significant development that is related to what we're discussing here is the move by NASA recently to release the results in the server that have been kept away from Kenyans, on the August 8th elections. Those results show that Raila Odinga won. He won the presidential elections. And although according to those server results, he won by a handful of 100,000 votes, it is important to note that those results from the server were contaminated. Yes, NASA have told us those results are not contaminated, but the truth is they are. And let me explain how. Skewed voter registration. Voter registration was done favoring one of the parties, Jubilee. And the voter register was not open to proper scrutiny before the elections. The long and short of it is that those results from the server were rigged. Okay? Now here is the killer. Yeah? It is this. Those results, despite the fact that the results were rigged, yeah, Raila Odinga still won. What those results tell us is that if it was a free and fair election, then Raila Odinga would have won perhaps by 2 million votes. This has been clearly confirmed by what we saw in the so-called repeat elections of the 26th of October. Yeah? Now. When such massive fraud is committed against the people of Kenya, what do you expect? Really? Yeah? And I'm addressing even the international community. What do you really expect? Huh? I'm sorry to say this, but you're totally out of your mind if you expect nothing to happen. You're totally out of mind if you do not expect a crisis after something like that happens. Now, there's a very beautiful story from the Holy Bible, yeah, which we're all very familiar of a man called Jacob. The story goes that Jacob saw a woman that he loved with all his heart. Her name was Rachel. And he was so determined to marry her, yeah, that he was willing to work for 7 years for nothing. Now get somebody to work for you for just 1 month and you refuse to pay them. What kind of reaction do you expect from them? Now this guy worked for 7 years for nothing. 12 months, 0 pay. Multiply that by 7. Now I can imagine on his wedding day, he must have been shaking with excitement. Yeah, and all kinds of physical things must have been happening in his body because he's a normal human being, he's a normal man. If you get my drift. And then what happens? On his wedding night, yeah, he discovers that actually it's not Rachel. It's not the woman he has been fantasizing about for 7 years. Yeah, while he toiled in the hot sun, sweat drifting down his face. Yeah, it's not that woman. Yeah, but it's another woman. And to make matters worse, this woman is not attractive. Yeah, the Bible tells us that Leah was not Supu. And so poor Jacob, under duress, accepts to work for another 7 years, yeah, in order to get Rachel. Now, according to Bible scholars, what actually happened is that Jacob got Rachel on credit. Yeah, how? Because after the marriage ceremony of Leah, which lasted a few days, he was given Rachel. Yeah. Now, if this little fact is correct, then I'm sure Jacob happily worked those 7 years. Yeah, knowing that he had already bagged his prized woman. Now, one of the reasons why the donkey is tired, why kwa nini punda imechoka, has to do with what unfolded in our country in the year 2002. The catchphrase at that time, going into 2003, and I was fortunate enough to be around and grown up and analyzing politics, yeah, the catchphrase at that time rather, was that change is in the air. And indeed, change was in the air. Let me just illustrate that with one example. There was a very curious incident where people, in fact it happened several times, where people inside a matatu traveling, yeah, saw a traffic policeman taking a bribe. You know, the usual thing. Yeah, it's so normal in Kenya that it's just normal. Yeah, you're stopped by some policemen. Yeah, the driver or the tout bribes the policeman, and you happily continue with your journey. And so obviously these policemen were not aware that things had changed. Yeah, and so they continued with their habits. Guess what happened? The passengers in the matatu came out, arrested the policeman, literally. Yeah. The people of Kenya were saying, we have turned over a new leaf. We do not want to see anything called corruption. This is a new country, a new beginning for Kenya. Kenyans had toiled for many years for that bride, for their Rachel, yeah, and they were sure they got Rachel. But then guess what? Somewhere along the way, they realized actually the bride had been switched. They got Leah instead. Now, to make matters worse, yeah, they were not given Rachel. They were not even promised Rachel. They were told, mambo ya Rachel, sahau. No way. You're stuck with Leah. Your fantasy that has been going on in your mind, let it continue in your mind. But Rachel, no. Now, after such a thing happened, is it any wonder that the country exploded in 2007, 2008 in clashes that were unprecedented in the country that we had never seen before? Now, people, of course, were desperate to stop the bloodletting, People were desperate that things could go back to normal in Kenya at that time. So we missed the opportunity to get Rachel, And instead, Kenyans got a Nusumkate government. And it was as business as usual. And we went into the 2013 elections, business as usual. And so in 2017, 2018, why should the donkey not be tired? Why? Why should the donkey defy the logic? Why should the donkey defy donkey behavior? Now, this is the chief reason, and I'm answering the question I asked right at the beginning, whether the blocking Uhuru Park, whether arresting the principals will be able to halt things and, neutralize the whole situation and allow Kenya to go back to normal. I'm answering that question now. This is why it is safe to say that it will be very difficult to stop the events that are about to unfold in Kenya, just by shutting up Uhuru Park, just by deploying all the security forces you can find, to guard the place, You cannot stop it by arresting all the principals, including Raila Odinga, putting them under arrest, limiting their movements. All those things, it's very difficult for them to stop anything because the people are tired and the people have decided. That's really what it is. God help Kenya. God remember mercy for Kenya. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.